Alright guys, it's Sam with the BulbaSquad and welcome back. So today we're gonna be covering reprints and how I believe the Pokemon Company is now moving forward with this new style of reprints. And so I'm gonna divide the video essentially into two halves. The first one will be me providing the proof to my theory as to how it's gonna go. And then the second will be my girlfriend, or not my girlfriend, she put up a counterpoint to my theory, and I think it's a really good counterpoint that needs to be addressed, and then I'll refute it. So, I believe from this point forward, like this year, Pokemon has figured out that they can do small scale reprints on lots of small products, and that's just how they're going to keep going forward. The reason I believe this is, let's take all of the Hidden Fates reprints that have occurred. All of them immediately got wiped off the shelves. Like there was nowhere near enough of the product to satisfy the demand. And then afterwards, if anything, the price actually increased on those because more people interacted with it. We look at Ultra Prism, that got reprinted. The prices didn't tank all the way down to MSRP or below. It tanked from like 500, which I'm getting from 525, 475, 450. So all the way down to 160, which is actually really healthy. It stayed above MSRP. They were able to immediately get rid of it. Then there was the Unbroken Bonds reprint, which beforehand Unbroken Bonds was running around at, I believe, 260 shipped, and then after the reprint occurred, it dropped out to around 160. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this just shows that Pokemon figured out a way to reprint products without completely destroying the market for it, unlike how they did with Roaring Skies, Primal Clash, and Ancient Origins, which are the three big ones. And so this is reaffirmed, my theory is reaffirmed by the fact that between those reprints up until the Hidden Fates and Ultra Prism reprints, there were really no reprints to speak of. Like nothing. I talked to a store owner just to double check that this was true. There were no real major reprints that just damaged the market. Nothing happened. It looked as though Pokemon saw how devastating their Roaring Skies, Ancient Origins, Primal Clash reprints were, and they decided to take a step back because it scared the LGSs heavily. It even put LGSs out of business, and it collapsed the secondary market because I personally believe that there are people in the Ivory White Towers that sit with their black hooded cloaks watching the secondhand market, seeing where the prices go, and that's how they determine their reprints. So, that's my opinion on how I think reprints are from now on. They're just going to keep doing small reprints that are meant to minimize risk. Now, my girlfriend brought up a point that said, we are in the pandemic year, everything's kind of a mess. The supply chains could be a mess, and that's why they're not able to make complete orders. Instead of going, all right, we're going to allocate, just throwing a number out there, 1,000 printers to try and get this, or 10,000 printers to try and get this reprint out there. Instead, they're like, no, we can only allocate 2,000 printers, a fifth of their normal stuff. So that's why. So to counter that point, I thought it through. The first reprint we got in the Sun and Moon era was the Hidden Fates reprint. That one was small, and that did occur while we were in the middle of the pandemic. So that would kind of make sense. However, afterwards, we then also got a reprint of Ultra Prism. No, wait, before that one, we got the European reprint too, and it was also really small and allocated. Then we got the Ultra Prism reprint, which is really small. And then at roughly the same time, we got the Unbroken Bonds reprint and another Hidden Fates reprint. So all of these, let's say Pokemon accidentally lead into it, they're just doing the absolute best that they can with the resources they have. Just pumping out whatever product they can with their minimal resources so as to still tap into that money, but still be able to pay attention to their mainstay sets. That would be backed up by the fact that Vivid Voltage is behind, Darkness Ablaze is behind, we have Champion's Path was behind, we have just all of these sets that are behind. Now, from that position where they just completely stumbled onto this method by accident, I think if I were in that CEO position, which I think they would at least be much smarter than me, they would I would look at it and go, we found a tool, minimizes risk, because it's a lot easier to put out, let's say, 1,000 cases of a set out there, and then you're stuck with 20% of it, so 200 cases, and you sold off the other 800. Instead of, we're going to put out 30,000 cases out there, and you're stuck with 66% of them, so 22,000 cases. That's an infinitely lower risk. Not to mention, by putting out these small reprints, then they can make sure that it sells completely really fast. Actually, they can raise the price because of the secondhand market. That's why your Unbroken Bonds and Ultra Prism are a little more expensive, because the warehouses were selling them for more. So, then after the supply has gone out there and it's gone, they can check it, just wait a bit, and then they'll choose to do another one. That's what they've been doing with Hidden Fate. That's what they've seen with Hidden Fates. So as a CEO, and you've seen that, your risk is being really reduced. Like, there's little to no risk on this. In some cases, you can actually increase the demand because some of your collectors and player base get to interact with the product, which they didn't get to the first time around. And you can consistently tap into the secondhand market quietly. You can just monitor it, see what happens, and you can actually focus much better on your current mainstay sets with allocating minimal resources to these. It just overall is the most logical plan. It seems like it makes a whole lot more sense than what they did with Roaring Skies and all the Roaring Skies, Ancient Primal Clash, Ancient Origins. It seems like they backed away from it because they were terrified of collapsing their market again, because it's what they did. So now, as a CEO, I stumbled across this new method that doesn't do any of what those three did, and if anything, does kind of the opposite of what they did. Why, after this whole 2020 year is over, would I then decide to go back to my old methods and either do big reprints or just not reprint at all? There were no reason to not reprint at all. Why would I get rid of this tool that seems to just have every merit I want? Low risk, high reward. It'd be ridiculous. So that is my reason for believing that from this point forward, Pokemon is going to keep making small reprints of any set that they believe reaches a certain threshold on price points, so that way they can minimize the damage they do to their market without no market collapse, and they can immediately get rid of said set without completely scaring their LGSs and their player base. Because that's the main thing. If they scare their LGSs, they're going to struggle offloading this product. So hopefully this helped shed some light on the whole reprint thing. I'm planning on releasing a video over my RAT system, which is Reprint Anticipation Timeline. It's a system I created to try and predict, whether you believe you can or not is up to you, trying to predict the odds of a reprint occurring. Like, just how high are the odds, yada yada. And that's built off of my spider system, so I'm gonna reintroduce both of those systems in that video, and it's gonna be a similar style to this one because I've noticed you guys much prefer this. And then I'm gonna have another video playing up top, which is going to be me writing down all of the spider system pieces on a whiteboard, so you guys have a visual aid. So that was the video, guys. I hope it really helped you guys to understand what I think the reprints will be like moving forward. If you think that maybe there was a point I missed that definitely counteracts what I said, proves that I'm wrong, I would love to hear it down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.